Syracuse Orange fans, can you feel the heat?
What is going on, Cuse Nation, and welcome to Orange Heat. My name's Giovanni Heater, as always, and thank you for joining me. Got a real special guest on the show with me here today, Tommy Wildhack. How's it going, Tommy?
What's up, Gio?
So today we are going to be talking about the different positions through the depth chart going on with this Syracuse 2019 roster as they're heading into camp. Camp's going on as we speak right now. Some exciting position battles to look at. And just a lot of exciting stuff here. Tommy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my dad's John Wildhack, the AD. I've been the biggest Syracuse fan since I was about 2 years old. So this was a dream just to come here, and we're really excited for this season. I mean, we've came a long way, and we're really getting back to, being where we were, winning 10 games every year, and we certainly have the coach to do so.
Absolutely. Exciting stuff. Tommy, if you guys don't know, he's heading to Italy on Saturday with the basketball team, so
Yep.
we had to squeeze this episode in while we could.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, so I guess let's dive right into it, man. Quarterback.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about the quarterbacks.
Eric Dungy's departure, it's a rough one. He was a senior. He did a lot of things for our offense. He could throw, he could run, always made some incredible plays, and he was a big guy. One guy was not going to bring him down, and that was key. But the guy we have coming up, Tommy DeVito, a lot of people already know who he is. He has got a gun. I mean, he just slings that thing down the field. He gets it right out of his hand. He is a better thrower than Eric. One guy will bring Tommy down, but I mean, the ball's already going to be out of his hands. He could be looking at, over 3,000 passing yards this year. Eric was a great leader, but all the guys, they've already bought into Tommy. They love him. They're excited to have him as their leader. This offensive system will actually be better fit for him
Absolutely.
than Eric.
And he's a Dino Babers recruit, which is big,
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, guys like Texas A&M wanted him, and he would have started there.
Right.
So, he was highly recruited out of high school. We all saw what he did against North Carolina. He had a little reality check against Notre Dame. That happens to every freshman quarterback. But now, he's got the experience he needs, some good, some bad. So he's ready to go.
Absolutely. And another big thing that, you could really talk about all across the board through this whole team is Tommy's put some muscle on him as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you look when Eric arrived here his freshman year, no one wanted him because he wasn't a big dude.
Right.
And he gained a lot of muscle, throughout his years here. And Tommy's already put on a lot of muscle, His arm strength is phenomenal. He's a fast runner, too. And I think, by his senior year, one guy probably won't be bringing him down either.
Yeah.
But, I mean, by the time he's done here, he could absolutely be a first-round pick in the NFL draft.
And he has, I don't see him as a scrambling quarterback whatsoever, but he has some wheels, He's fast still.
If there's an opening, he's gonna take it, and he's gonna, pick up 10 yards.
Right. And that's not exactly what we want him to do. Dino Babers' system, it's built around the pocket passing quarterback.
Yep.
I think you're going to see a lot of different, screen passes as always.
Oh, absolutely.
Some stuff up the middle, some slants. But then that deep ball option is always going to be there as well.
Yeah, and, we can move into the receivers a little bit. Losing Jamal Custis, yeah, that definitely hurt. But, I mean, Tristan Jackson, he only was able to play one game last year. He's going to come in and be the wide receiver one. He's phenomenal. He can make a lot of great catches. He's fast. And then you got Taj Harris, who's a guy a lot of people kind of under the radar. People kind of forgot about him. What he did as a freshman was really, really good.
Absolutely. As a freshman, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but as a freshman, he broke the Syracuse University freshman record for receptions and receiving yards. So that's huge.
Now he's, Taj and Tristan, that's a great group. And then you got, Nakeem Johnson. I mean, if you're
he's who I'm excited about. He's who I'm excited for.
He's gonna outrun anyone that's secondary. I don't care who we're playing. You give him enough time to outrun those guys. Tommy's got the arm strength to get him the ball. He's gonna be a deep ball threat regardless of who we're playing on pretty much every play. And then you got Sean Riley, who's the best, for his height and weight, obviously the best player in the country.
I mean, he stands at, 5'8"?
5'8", 170. You can't name one guy 5'8", 170 better than him in the country.
Absolutely.
And I mean, he's dangerous on screen passes, on the deep ball, slants, whatever. And with those four receivers, and you got 13 getting them the ball, I mean, we could light up some team secondary.
Absolutely. And I don't really see a secondary in the Atlantic Coast Conference that scares me, to be quite honest.
Clemson gave up 500 yards to Jake Bentley last year. They lost their best They lost their best player in the secondary. I do believe A.J. Terrell's back, who had the pick 6 against Alabama. But, I mean, I still like the guys we have in the offensive side, all our receivers, and I'll take on that secondary. Absolutely. Louisville, they got athletes, but I mean, they got some ways to go. They're under a new coach. We all know, what happens in year one.
Right.
NC State, they got athletes, but I mean, I'll take our guys up against them. Florida State, they got athletes once again. I'll take our guys up against them. But you also look, our offensive system is actually more built running right up the middle, making teams worry about the run. Then we hit them with play action.
Then you hit them absolutely.
Yeah. And we got as good a running back room as there is in the conference.
Yeah, let's stay on the topic of let's go back to the quarterbacks real quick, because I do want to talk about the depth at that position. Now, one of the luxuries that we had last year was you had the depth. Eric Dungeon goes out. You have the faith in Tommy DeVito.
We had DeVito, and a guy people forgot. We also had Chance Amy, but he ended up transferring. So we got to keep 13 healthy. The good news is, he's going to slide unlike Eric. Eric will, he's fearless out there. Tommy knows, when he's got to slide and all that.
Right.
Right now, Clayton Welch is listed as the backup quarterback. We also got Rex Culpepper, but I mean, we need to keep Tommy healthy. That's the one issue for sure. And you look at the offensive line. That's who's got to protect Tommy and make sure he's not taking a hit that'll knock him out of the game.
I will tell you, though, I still do feel comfortable. Maybe not as comfortable last year, going Eric to Tommy. But Clayton Welch is a 6'5" quarterback. Rex Culpepper, I feel like I have enough faith in those guys that if something were to happen to number 13, we're still in good enough shape to win ball games. Maybe not where we were last season, but I still have faith in our depth. I think it's better than having someone like a Zach Mahoney back there.
Yeah, I think, you look at the schedule. Let's say we're playing, Boston College or a Wake Forest or a Duke, and Tommy goes down. I think, with the rest of our team and, Clayton, we can do enough to get the job done. I mean, look at what Clemson did last year. Trevor Lawrence went out and, they found a way to win, even with fumbling a punt, because, they had a good all-around team. And Their backup, he got the job done. And if it happens to us at some point in the year, excluding Clemson, we just need Clayton to come in, do the job, which he will, and the rest of the team, step up.
Absolutely. Now, Tommy DeVito out of New Jersey, exciting stuff. There's not much else you can say there. Just excited for the year to start and see what he's got. And we got glimmers of it last year. So moving on to the running backs now, and this kind of translates. Say Tommy goes out. Guess what? You can depend on your run game a little bit because I think this is arguably the deepest position on the team.
Yep. And, I mean, again, you look at the running back room from a depth perspective, it's as good as it gets in the conference. I mean, Mo Neal, we all saw what he did his junior year, and all he is got another year of experience under his belt. He's a senior now. He's a leader. He's gained a lot of muscle. He's grew an inch. I mean, he's outstanding. And
he quietly rushed for 846 yards last year, and it was quietly because he was the two-back under Strickland.
Yeah, and again, Dante, he wasn't as fast as these guys. He was a little reluctant to go straight up the middle as well, but he was a great blocker, and we need Mo, Abdul, and Jarvion to, step up and block like Dante did. But, I mean, Abdul, he's phenomenal. He is so freaking fast. I mean, if he hits the hole, he is gone. There's no catching up to him. And you look at Jarvion, the big back.
The red zone back.
Yep. He still hits a hole. He's gone.
Yep.
And, I mean, look at that play against Pitt. He just Pitt's a physical team, and he just runs right through him, and the helmet goes flying off.
Absolutely. And he actually led the team in touchdowns last year for the running back position.
He did. No, those three, especially if there's a point where we have two in the game, if I'm an opposing front seven, I'm a little bit worried about those guys. But once again, it's all about, protecting those three, protecting Tommy, and we lose 3 offensive line starters. But, if they can step up, I really wish teams good luck trying to stop Tommy in our backfield.
Absolutely, and that's really going to come down to the O-line, which we will get to. But as of right now, as you mentioned, the quarterback position goes Tommy starter, backup Clayton Welch, third string you have Rex Culpepper. Yep. And then now for the running backs, starter, right now they have Mo Neal, which I kind of like. He's paid his dues. He's put on his weight.
He's the senior back.
Yep. And it also plays in Abdul had a minor injury in the spring, which played into it.
But I mean, those two guys, they'll both get a lot of carries.
Absolutely. I think I could see them splitting carries for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Similar to last year with Strickland and Mo. Because Abdul is so dynamic. He's fast. He runs hard.
Shifty.
If you've seen his tape at Oklahoma, it's, he didn't leave there because he wasn't good enough. He left because of some inside situations that, we don't necessarily have to get into. But he's talented enough to play at that level. So.
Oh, sure. You could put him. He's an NFL back, and you can put him on any team. He's going to do well. And, when those guys are gone, we have a freshman this year from Arizona, and he's faster than all of them. So the future for Syracuse running backs, the running back room is pretty good.
I think they might have to bring back the number 44. You might have to talk to your dad about that one.
It is unretired, so it is up for grabs.
Yep. So, as I said, Mo Neal the starter. You have at the two-back, you have Abdul Adams. Third, you have Jarvion. I think Jarvion's going to play the same role as last year. He's going to get a lot of goal line carries.
I wouldn't call him, a third back because, it's almost as he plays a different position. I wouldn't call him a fullback. That's not what he is. Man, he's too fast to be a fullback. But, I mean, he's the short yardage guy, the red zone guy, the goal-to-go guy.
The aggressor, for sure.
Yep. And maybe you put 2 backs in, and you could have, Chris Elmore is the fullback. He's in the backfield sometimes. Maybe give him the ball.
Big Rhino, number 36. And now I do want to talk about one guy who we didn't even touch upon, and I could see him getting a little bit of action here, some carries, maybe late in games when we have large leads, kind of similar to Jarvion early on in last season, and that's Jawar Jordan. Freshman running back. He's a speedy playmaker who has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
He had some strong moments during the spring, including 2 highlight reel touchdown runs in the spring game.
Yeah.
And his potential's just off the charts. It's going to be hard for this coaching staff to keep him off the field, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he is, again, he's the guy from Arizona I was talking about.
Yep.
You know, again, he's faster than all those guys, but I mean, he won't play much because he's a freshman. But I mean, you know, again, Jarvion's only a sophomore, so next year when Mo's gone, he'll step in, and then he'll be the RB1 when Abdul's gone.
Right.
But I mean, you know, you could technically look at it and say, yeah, our running back room is actually at 4, and it's just if you have one back, you know, he could be really good. He gets a little tired, you know, and you don't have another guy to put in, that can be a problem. But I mean, depth is never a problem, and when you have a running back room like that, you can run all over teams.
Absolutely. Now, that's about all we got for the running backs. Exciting stuff. I think that's the deepest position, the biggest thing to look forward to. Getting that run game going, which really just opens up the pass game and makes your offense that much more dynamic.
Absolutely.
And I think the beautiful thing, too, is it's not going to be like a situation where Boston College runs A.J. Dillon too much to the point where he winds up hurt midway through the season. Because he's getting 50-plus carries a game. With our kind of depth, we're not going to run into that situation.
Yeah, and I mean, also, you know, Anthony Brown, I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but I mean, he's not Tommy, you know.
Yeah.
Boston College, they rely on the run game. You know, we don't do that. We can kill you both ways. Boston College kills you one way. So when you have one back and most of the time he's going to run it, you know, teams are going to figure out, okay, we got to just worry about stopping the run.
Right.
But, you know, when Anthony Brown gets going is when, you know, teams they keep worrying about the run. You know, once Dillon gets a little tired, a little beat up, you know, we're not going to have that issue. And when we play Boston College, you know, we just got to do what we did last year.
Absolutely. All right, now let's we did kind of dive into him a little bit, but let's look at the depth at the wide receiver position. For outside starter number 1, you got Tristan Jackson. Now, he originally didn't start in the spring. He wasn't at a one wide receiver. But now they move him into the starting spot. I think it's well-deserved. Transfer out of Michigan State. Caught a touchdown pass in the Camping World Bowl.
That was a big catch.
Absolutely. Now, looking at his backup at outside, you have Anthony Quealy, kind of a guy. I could see him getting some reps here, but I really see the guy underneath him breaking through a little bit, and that's Sherrod Johnson.
I agree with that. You know, he's 5'11", 179, so he's still, you know, he's not short, but he's not Tristan Jackson's height. But I mean, he definitely has a chance to get going as well. I mean,
he got some burn last year. He got a little.
It's a pretty deep receiving room. Again, losing Custis, it hurts, but I mean,
I don't think it hurts all that much, though. I'm really not worried about it.
Well, my one fear with that is, you know, do you have a guy who you can just throw the ball up and go get it?
I think that's Tristan Jackson.
I wouldn't say exactly, but also our system is not built around throwing up and getting it. You know, we had Amba and Ish and Custis, but, you know, those guys, they were great players, but, you know, they were more you throw it up and they go get it. Now it's just, you know, our system's built more on, you know, speed and finesse and, you know, kind of just making those really good catches. And, you know, that's what our guys this year, they're really built for the system. And I mean, Tristan, Taj, Sean, Nakeem, Sherrod, I mean, it's deep. They're good athletes. They make good catches. It's as good as a receiving corps as you want.
And this was one of my biggest questions going into this I had for you. What do you see? Do you see a situation where you have Tristan Jackson or maybe even somebody else stepping in to be the next Amba or Ish or the next Custis? Or I'd almost rather, and I almost expect to see, instead of one guy catching for 700 yards on the season, I almost see more of a situation where Sean Riley, you know, Taj Harris, Tristan Jackson, possibly Sherrod Johnson, Nykeem Johnson for sure.
Yep.
All of them have about 400 yards, a handful of touchdowns, and
Yeah.
spread it pretty evenly.
Yep. And on top of that, what you said, there'd be some plays, a lot of quarterbacks, they'll lock on to a receiver before the play even starts and throw him the ball. I mean, Eric did that a little bit, but he didn't really do that too much. But the thing about Tommy is, he doesn't really have a favorite target. Eric clearly did. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Right.
I'm just saying, he looked for Taj a lot when Tommy did play last year, and Taj is open a lot, so that's a good thing.
And Taj has some height. I mean, 6'2".
Yeah.
He's a little bit on the thinner side, but he can get up at the ball.
He is, but as long as he holds on to the ball, he learned the hard way. You really got to hold on to the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, when you have he might be Tommy's go-to guy, but when he's not even your best receiver, that's and then we got hold on. You got 6. Yeah, I was looking at the heights. 6'2", 6'1". I mean,
that's big.
Yeah, you want guys that are that tall and just they can go up and get the ball.
Right. And normally cornerbacks are a little bit shorter. So.
Yeah. There's no distinct wide receiver one this year between Taj and Tristan. And I mean, Sean's a senior as well. And you want to have the senior, and there's your senior right there.
He's going to be in the slot for sure, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's the best pound-for-pound player in the country. Plus, you got, Ish and Amba and Custis, they were usually the deep threat. This year, it's Nykeem Johnson. So, to your point, the ball is going to be going evenly to different players, but the chances on a play that all 4 of them are not open, usually one of them is going to be open.
Right. And that's the problem that secondaries are going to have with us. We have such a deep receiving core. At outside starter number 2, right now they have Taj Harris as the 1 receiver. Can't argue with that. Underneath him, they have Ed Hendricks. And this is unfortunate. Ed actually came down with an injury the other day.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential as well. He was Jamal when he was here. Custis, he had a lot of injuries, so he really didn't get going. But we're hoping, he can stay healthy because he has potential to be a phenomenal receiver as well. But
absolutely. From what I read, it was just kind of a reoccurring leg injury.
Yeah.
Right now it's undetermined when he's going to be back. Right now, he's underneath Taj, though, in that outside receiver. I'd really love to see him this season. And, at that 2 spot, you definitely he would get his reps for sure. And underneath him, now probably stepping into that 2 spot, is Sherrod Johnson. So they have Sherrod listed at 2 different positions here.
I think he'll actually play more than people think.
Yeah.
And again,
he played last year quite a bit.
He did. And once again, we got guys, you see a lot of receivers. They won't play much one year, but the next year they come in, they play a lot more, get a lot more catches.
Yeah.
So even if he doesn't do too much for us this year, in the future, he definitely could.
It all comes down to that experience. The experience is huge.
Yep. I mean, the good news is, Taj Harris, he's only a sophomore, so we get him for 3 more years. 2 more years of Tristan Jackson, so.
I think we got, 2 more in Nykeem as well.
Yeah, he's a junior, so.
Okay, so you'll have 1 more after this.
We got a good future at that position. And, moving on from receivers.
Real quick before we move on, I do want to just tell people, at the slot starter, that's the last position here. They have Sean Riley at the 1, Nykeem Johnson at the 2, and Cooper Lutz at the 3. All right, go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah. So, the tight end position, last year we had Ravion Pierce, and he was actually...
He was kind of a punk.
We didn't use him as much as, I wish we did, but also, we did have some... I wouldn't say behavioral issues, but definitely kind of got out of control a little bit. But that is a big loss because, Ravion was a really good blocker and he was a threat, throw the ball as well. But Chris Elmore, he's listed as tight end. He'll be more a 6 offensive lineman.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Aaron Hackett, guys don't really know too much about him. I think he's going to be a pretty solid tight end.
I mean, last year he had he caught that pass down in Death Valley against Clemson that would have sealed the game for us. But we had the legal man downfield. That one certainly
caught
hurt.
A touchdown against Pittsburgh as well. So he had a good year. I think he's going to be a solid tight end.
Absolutely. And I do want to touch upon what you said about Chris. Exactly what you said. Chris Elmore is the kind of guy that he's going to line up in the backfield with you, especially in a short yardage situation.
Yeah.
And if you follow him at the hip, you will find where you need to be. And you saw Dungy do that a lot last year.
Yeah, all those running touchdowns against that Clemson defensive line was because of Chris Elmore.
You had an NFL defensive lineman in Christian Wilkins. Four of them. But I remember a specific play. You had Christian Wilkins, first-round draft pick, coming at Dungy, and you saw Elmore absolutely manhandle him, and Dungy walked right into the end zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he'll be that 6 offensive lineman, and we need him and Aaron to block well, because moving on the offensive line, losing 3 starters doesn't help.
Absolutely. Right now at the offensive line, what you have is for left tackle starter Ryan Alexander. He had some reps last year. Anything really to say about him?
Well, he's the transfer from South Alabama.
Yep.
He did really well there. And again, the tackle position, that's the most important spot of keeping your quarterback upright. And he was a big get. Not a lot of people know who he is, but I mean, when we found out we got him, it was a big sigh of relief.
The offensive line is kind of the unsung heroes, really, in any team.
I mean, last year we had a great group. They played great against Clemson. They had one bad game, which was against Notre Dame. But, again, I get it. We got beat pretty bad in that game. But what Notre Dame was playing for, they were playing for so much more than any team in the country was that day. And, they showed up.
Yeah.
But again,
I forget that game even happened sometimes. I wish we could just forget about it.
Yeah. Our offensive line against Clemson, 4 NFL defensive linemen played really, really well. And we keep Aaron Servais. We'll move him to center. Evan Adams, he's 6'6", 352. So, I mean.
Big time. He got a lot of run last year as well.
Yep. And Sam Heckel, he played a lot last year. So,
he's going to be our center right now.
I see him listed as left guard, because what we want to do is move Servais to center.
I was wondering about that, because I have on this depth chart I found it does say Sam Heckel at center, but Servais was more fit for that position.
Yeah, because we decided we we're going to move him to center a little later. But, I mean, from the center and guard position, I feel really confident about that. And I like Ryan Alexander. I'm not sure if he's going to play right or left tackle, but I mean,
you have Dakota Davis as well. He's solid as well.
I mean, the question is, if Alexander plays left tackle, who's going to play right tackle? If he plays right tackle, who's going to play left tackle? And I mean, the left tackle position, if you got a righty quarterback, it's the most important position.
Right.
And
got to protect the blind side.
Exactly, and I don't know which tackle Alexander will play, but even the right tackle is still important. And if we can get good play out of that other tackle spot, our offensive line will be just as good as it was last year.
Absolutely. Right now, just to go through the depth chart listing, at left tackle right now they have Ryan Alexander. As we said, that can change. Underneath him, you have Carlos Vettorello. And then at the left guard spot, Dakota Davis. Underneath him's Patrick Davis. At the center on here, it says Sam Heckel. I'm going to go off of you. You know better than anyone. We're going to put Aaron Servais there. And then after that, you have, let's see, Andreas Durig. He's a backup for that position.
Sam Heckel. Yeah.
You have Evan Adams, Patrick Davis.
Yeah.
Aaron, and then Darius Tisdale, and that's about it.
Yeah. I think at left guard, we're looking at Sam Heckel. tackle over Dakota Davis just because, he's a junior and he played a lot more last year.
Okay.
And then right guard would be Evan Adams. But I do agree, Darius Tisdale, he might be at one of the other tackle spots. Maybe it'll be Vettorello. And Kadir White, I don't think he'll play much this year, but I mean, he's a big boy too. So in the future, you'll get him playing. But again, yeah, we lost a lot, but Heckle, he played last year. Alexander, really good player transfer. So I'm not too worried about that.
Absolutely.
As long as the other tackle spot, just gets the job done. And the thing about offensive linemen is they take the most time to develop. So, when if you look at a team's depth chart and see, some freshmen or sophomores on an offensive line, that should light your eyes up because you always want your offensive line to be full of, seniors and juniors and have, you could even have some of your better players or players with more potential who'd be sophomores and freshmen, but they're going to be on the bench because they take more time to develop.
Right. All right. Well, bottom line, I think you just have to. I'm excited about it. You got to have faith in our phenomenal coaching staff, and I think the offensive
this could be an offense that averages 35, 40 points a game.
Absolutely. Oh, I agree. And I think they could light up the scoreboard this year.
Outside of Clemson, this definitely could be the best offense in the conference.
I agree for sure. I think one of the best in the country, give or take.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Top 10.
Yep.
Now
but
moving on.
Let's get to
the core, the what Dino Babers calls the best aspect of our team, the strength here, the defense.
What people who don't really follow us as much, they're gonna say, "Oh, it's Syracuse, it's Dino Babers." They're gonna score a lot, but their defense is no good, so we're gonna be able to score against them. If anyone's saying our defense is no good, coming in the games, they're going to be in for a long day. And let's start at the defensive ends. Alton Robinson and Kendall Coleman,
I think the best duo in the country.
I agree with that. I think, Clemson, they got Xavier Thomas at one end, but, the other end, their replacement's not going to be as elite. And, our defensive line, we do lose Chris Slayton, but you look at the depth chart, our defensive ends, we have Brandon Berry and Kingsley Jonathan as backups.
Absolutely.
Who would usually start at, most schools in the Power 5.
And you have now Alton Robinson and Kendall Coleman last year. Each of them had like 10 sacks apiece. I mean, they're just phenomenal athletes.
I watched highlights of, our games from last year. Every single play,
they're hitting somebody.
They beat their tackles.
Yeah. And
whether it was a touchdown or a turnover, they beat the tackles guarding them.
And even if the quarterback's going to get the ball off, they're still going to put them on the floor.
Make them feel the ground.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you right now, Alton Robinson and Kendall Coleman are NFL caliber players.
Oh, for sure.
And like the next Dwight Freeney type, Chandler Jones coming out of Syracuse.
Yep, for sure. And they're two seniors, so
yeah, the leadership's there.
I don't know too much about our opponent's offensive lines outside of Florida State, and
who's not
Florida
good.
Florida State's a huge game for us. Because we really need to establish, everyone's talking about, we got to catch Clemson. The way we're going to be able to do that is you got to secure yourself ahead of the rest of the teams in your conference. And, we got to go into Florida State and win. And, the way we do that is Alton Robinson, Kendall Coleman, they got to just do what they did to Francois, have James Blackman on the ground every play.
Absolutely. And that offensive line for Florida State was atrocious last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were times Francois was so frustrated he wouldn't let his O-lineman help him up. He swatted their hand away.
Oh yeah.
So
you look at the depth on the defensive ends, Alton and Brandon.
So exciting.
then Kendall and Kinsley. But we got to dive into the tackles as well.
McKinley Williams and Kenneth Ruff. And then Josh Black. I mean, all three of them.
We'll get him in a second.
Yeah.
We'll get to him in a second. But losing Chris Slayton, that definitely hurt. But, I mean, Josh Black, he is incredibly underrated. He had a great year last year. He's 6'3", 270.
He's like the best lifter on the team.
Oh, yeah. He's going to come in, fill Chris Slayton's role, blow up plays. Same with McKinley and Kenneth. Kenneth's 6'1", 308. Okay, he is huge.
Huge.
He's not an easy guy to stop. So you got 3 defensive tackles who, none of them are as good as Slayton was, but they're still going to be very capable of blowing up plays.
And they're all a year improved, and the defensive ends are only going to help them.
Exactly.
I mean, this is the best defensive line up there with the best in the country, and I'm not just saying that as a biased fan. I think this defensive line is one of the best in the country.
Yep. And, you look at Clemson, they lost all 4 of their starters. Xavier Thomas, he'll come in and be an NFL player, but besides that, will their defensive linemen right now probably be NFL players? Yes, but right now, they're all young. They don't have a lot of experience. Our guys do.
It's week 3. I mean, some of those guys, it's their first road game ever. It's week 3, which is huge.
Right. And, even just in general, the best defensive line in the conference, I mean, I'll put them up against Miami and Clemson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, ACC just came out with a thing I saw. Clemson was rated number 3 for defensive line. Miami was number 2, and Syracuse was number 1 for defensive line.
And that's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
I'm very confident about that. But we lost 2 starting linebackers, so that's kind of the
question mark of the entire team.
I will say, after talking to my dad, what he's hearing, they're impressed with the linebackers. We're gonna play a lot of nickel as well, with Trill Williams as the nickel back.
Okay.
And we keep Andrew Armstrong.
That's huge.
And, just look what he did last year.
He forced quite a few turnovers last year. He had that big pick against NC State.
NC State.
Fumbles. Absolutely.
Mikel Jones, true freshman, but
exciting with Mikel Jones.
Yeah, he's got a very high ceiling as well.
Juwan Wallace, Lakeem Williams.
Yep, they're listed as start first and second strings as well.
Yep. Tyrell Richards is in there as well under Armstrong.
Yeah, a lot of guys are impressed with him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if Armstrong's not above him, he could crack through that.
Yeah.
Armstrong's going to be the starter, but I could see him getting reps.
Yeah, and again, you got 3 linebacker spots as well.
Right.
But, this was 2017, we lost Paris and Zaire. And the next year, we had 2 new guys come in. And, they struggled the first few weeks. But, I mean, after that, they really got going. So again, I think our linebackers, they might struggle at first, but once we get going, they'll be a pretty good linebacker core, especially with Trill Williams playing the nickel back.
Absolutely, and that was some of the best news from Dino Babers. He said in a press conference yesterday, actually, he was talking about how he thinks this is the last year where you have to kind of put a question mark on that linebacker spot, because by then, next year, a lot of these guys are young, and we'll have them in the future.
Absolutely. And we got a lot of, good commits coming in as well.
Absolutely. That was one of the biggest, recruiting positions right there.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Linebacker.
And let's get into the most exciting part about, in my opinion, the whole team, the secondary.
Okay.
I mean, we are too deep at every spot.
Every single spot. It's crazy.
Yep. Both corners, both safeties, too deep at every spot.
Absolutely. And you have some serious experience coming back. Excuse me. Evan Foster.
And here's what people might or not be aware about. Antoine Cordy's back for another year.
Yep, for a 6th year, and he's, he had some injury problems, but when he's healthy, I think he's one of the best on the team.
Yep. And I mean, he was, everyone was like, okay, he's a senior, he's gone. No, he's back next year.
He's the last non-Babers guy back, I believe. That's
correct.
Yep.
But you look at the other safety spots. Evan Foster, he's a senior. I mean, he's a beast. He hits like a linebacker.
Absolutely. They call him NyQuil.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it puts you to sleep.
Good in coverage. He sees where the quarterback's going. And I mean, we all know about Andre Sisco. He's what he did.
All-American.
All-American is a true freshman. And
led the nation in interceptions with 7.
Yep. I don't know if you've seen him lately. He put on some muscle. He looks
serious
like a
muscle. Yeah, serious.
You
like
you
he
might
was
not even
scrawny
recognize
last year.
him.
I've seen pictures. It's crazy.
To all the watchers here, if you haven't seen Andre Sisco since last year, once you see him, you'll think, why is an NFL player in our secondary right now?
Yeah, and that's all kudos. Why don't you talk just for a second about our strength and conditioning
Absolutely.
staff?
Sean Ettinger is the best strength coach in the country. I'll take him up against anyone. What he does with our guys, look what he did with Eric. Look what he's doing with Tommy. Cisco's putting on some weight. All these guys, from when they arrive here to when they leave, it's amazing.
Crazy. I mean,
and all the players, they love him too. It's not like, it's not like, with there's some schools that have issues with their strength coach. They love him. They want to do that extra rep because, he motivates them the right way.
Absolutely. A few other notable returners: Christopher Frederick, Scoop Bradshaw. Scoop Bradshaw has always been solid.
Scoop's not even listed as a starter, which shows how deep the secondary is.
Absolutely.
And, the one thing about Scoop, he might get beat sometimes, but I mean, when the ball's being thrown, he makes great plays on the ball.
He's not your interception guy, but he's in there to make a mess.
Yeah, if you're taking a shot, and assuming he's right there with him, it's not going to be a completion.
Absolutely. How about Ifatu Melifonwu? I'm most excited for him, I think, other than Cisco and Trill. I think I'm most excited for him than anybody else.
Yeah, if he his brother's in the NFL, he had a pretty good Patriots, freshman year. He's 6'3", 207 as a corner.
Yeah.
We talk about Trill being big at 6'2", 200. He's 6'3", 207.
And he took advantage of his small amounts of opportunity last year in that NC State game. I think it was Cordy got injured. He got right in there, and he took that game over.
Yep.
He shut down Ryan Finley.
And let's also look at Christopher Frederick. He's one of the most underrated corners in the country.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're not going to see too many plays of him getting beat from last year and probably with this year as well.
Trill, as you said, they have him listed in the nickel.
Yep. He'll also play corner as well.
Yep.
Then, you got some seniors, and Carl Jones and Devon Clark is back up. So if you have
Eric Coley as well.
Yep, that's a good thing. We got a 4-star recruit from Miami area, Neil Nunn. So he probably won't play much this year, but I mean, we don't get too many 4-star recruits yet. But when we do get, what we do at talent, if we do get a 4-star recruit, we use him pretty well. I mean, look at Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, you got to think it's not necessarily about going out. I mean, obviously you want your 5-star recruits.
Yeah.
But Dino Babers is finding guys that fit his system.
Yep.
And he doesn't care if they're a 3, 4, 5. They're fit his system, and they do what he wants them to do.
And what I was told is you'll have your, 25-star, maybe not 20, maybe like 30, 40, your 5-star NFL players.
Right.
Outside of that, the ratings really don't matter.
Right. Seriously. It's true.
You look at our roster right now, it's better than a lot of other teams, and how they were recruited. not as highly rated as all these other teams were, but it's it's
Doing
finding
it.
the right
It's the
guys,
coaches.
finding the right guys, not all based on rating, and do they fit your system, and do you use them the right way? And Dino
And do
does
they
that
want to
as good
work
as
hard
anyone.
too?
Yeah.
That's huge. All right. I think that about does it with the defense. Any lasting words for the defense?
Again, they'll force a lot of turnovers this year, just like last year. And
They'll put pressure on
again,
quarterbacks.
what everyone says about defenses, bend don't break. If we give up a big run up the middle here and then, we'll hold them to a field goal or turn them over, and we're very capable of doing that.
Yeah, I was reading an article that said, Syracuse last year top 10 in forced turnovers. No way they can replicate that. But it was an outsider view. They're not really in with Syracuse, and they couldn't be more wrong because almost literally nearly everybody's back except Chris Slayton, and they're better than ever.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about what other people are saying. Again, we love proving people wrong.
They're sleeping.
We love proving people wrong. That's what we do. Everyone says, hey, they're going to get crushed by Clemson. We almost beat them the year before. We're going to get crushed by Clemson. We beat them. We were picked to finish last in our division last year. I'm just going to remind people of that.
Yeah.
This year we're picked to finish fourth. And that's what we like, proving people wrong.
We're picked to finish fourth by ESPN, but from the ACC media voters, we got 2 votes for first place, and we're picked to finish second.
Yeah, I'll say ESPN, that's been a little interesting. They have Ohio State, finishing fourth in their division. So
they have Syracuse winning 5 games on ESPN.
I wouldn't listen to ESPN, but, conference media, it's a little more reliable, but that doesn't mean anything.
Absolutely. It all matters what happens on the field because, like you said, nobody expected us to do what we did last year.
Right.
Looking real quick, special teams.
Absolutely.
Another huge strength of this team.
Special teams is what can determine if a team goes 8-4, 10-2. That can really change how games are played. And we'll start with the punter. Sterling Hoffrichter. He's a senior now.
The big boot.
He's as good as there is in the country. A lot of people say he's the best punter in the country.
I mean, he can put it within in the 5 every time.
Yep.
And you saw him do that.
I don't disagree with that. And, he kicks it so high. And when you have a high punt, some ways a 40-yard punt with, that's high is better than a 50-yard punt that's low because the key thing is avoiding returns,
Right. And you saw that last year at Clemson. Amari Rogers muffed 2 or 3 punts from Hoffrichter because he put it
up in the sun.
Absolutely.
Way up in the sun versus giving him a chance to return. And let's say if we had a team that had a returner like Tyreek Hill, just put it right up in the air. Don't let him return it.
Yeah,
that's what he does. And yeah, he does have a big leg as well. Another guy who has a big leg, Andre Smith. Walk-on freshman. All he does is win the Lou Groza Award. So
that's it.
I think he's
no big deal there. No big deal there. No, not the best kicker in the nation or anything.
No, he's
in the face of pressure. 54 yards in the hardest stadium in the country, Death Valley, just nails 54 yards.
Yeah, he's. When you lose games by 3-4, whatever, field goals count. And sometimes if you can make a 53-yard field goal instead of having to punt it or turn it over on downs, that's key, and that can win games. And
absolutely. The kid was 30 for 34 last year. That's insane.
Yeah, and a few of his misses, one of them was blocked, another was a bad snap, so he's pretty much automatic. And, a freshman kicker, maybe he's going to miss a few. So he might just be straight up better this year. I think he will because
that's the scary part. You win the Lou Groza, and I was reading an article. He hasn't even, his ceiling is still way above his head.
He was only a freshman,
Yeah, it's scary. How do you match what you did last year? And they're saying you could be even better. Yeah. Now, looking at some other things, you have Nolan Cooney at holder, and you lose Matt Keller at long snapper, but I have a lot of
Yeah.
faith in Aaron Belinsky.
Yeah, he'll be good. It's long snapper is a very difficult position. Matt was great, but again, Aaron's ready to step in, get the job done.
I mean, he stepped in last year when Matt got hurt, and we were just fine. So.
Yep. What I'm really excited for, though, is the kick and punt returning.
Sean Riley, baby.
He took a punt to the house last year.
Against UConn, yep.
Yeah, he can be dangerous with on kick returns as well. I think, let's say this punter hits a really nice 50-yard punt, but Sean Riley can turn that into a 35-yard punt. And again, just even 10, 15 extra yards off a punt return goes a long way. 10 extra yards on a kick return goes a long way with Sean and Nykeem.
Absolutely. He's so fast. He's so shifty. Yep. He's gotten stronger. I saw a picture. I had to take a double take if it was Sean Riley besides his face because he was jacked. It was kind of like a Cisco situation.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's gonna be very good as well. And when you have a really good offense, a really good defense, a really good special teams, we can be dangerous.
Absolutely. I think we're looking at a successful season. We're deep. We're the deepest we've been in a very long time.
Oh, absolutely.
Deeper than last year.
Just offensive line, got to stay healthy at that. Quarterback, stay healthy at that. We do that, we can win 10 games.
Absolutely. Who are your top 3 guys to watch out before we take off? Who are your top 3 sleepers? Your sleepers. Not your everyday biggest guy, your sleepers.
Well, my first one would, even though he's a senior, I got to go with Chris Frederick. Again, you might say, well, he had a great year last year. He's a senior. I'm talking about as a sleeper, like being cornerback of the year.
Yeah.
Like he's the potential to do that. He's fast. He's just so good at making plays on the ball. He doesn't really get beat that often. I'm also going to go with Taj Harris as well, just because, did he have a great year last year? Absolutely. But, I mean, he's a guy who could be getting national attention. And
for
sure. My final sleeper would have to be, I'm going to go with Sterling just because, people forget the value of what a punter can really do for a team.
Absolutely.
Sometimes games are determined by field position. I mean, if you have a guy who can change field position, all of a sudden it's a different ball game.
Oh, 100%. Field position is huge. It's huge in strategy.
Yep.
All right, here's my 3 sleepers. Number 1, I don't know if this is necessarily considered a sleeper. I'm going Jarvian Howard.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's listed as RB3. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, last year you saw him rip off 2 big ones, one against Florida State, and maybe it was against Wagner was the other one. But you're talking, 40, 50-yard runs here, and he's got the capability to rip off a big one. He juked out a Florida State linebacker. Juked him out of his shoes when he broke that big one. So he's powerful. He's shifty. He's only going to get better. I got Jarvian Howard.
Yep.
My number 2 is Josh Black.
I like that one. He's you can just tell he's got it in him.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to see him. And then Ifeatu Melifonwu. It's going to be my last one.
Yeah, he didn't get to play a whole lot as a freshman. He can get a lot done.
That's why I'm excited.
But, again, are these areas concerns? Yes, but the offensive line and linebacker spots, they have potential to be pretty good.
I think, your linebackers are young, besides Armstrong, which is exciting.
Yeah, and
not necessarily a bad thing to be young.
Linebacker's the spot where you want that senior leader. On a defense, you want your senior leader to be a linebacker.
Yeah.
That helps.
Let's just think about what Dino Babers recruits have done so far. Tommy DeVito saves your butt against North Carolina last year. And I'll
tell you, that North Carolina game, coming in that game, we had lost 2 straight.
That could have
You
plummeted the season.
If we lost that game, it could have got,
Ugly.
It could have got ugly. But when we won that game, all of a sudden, it might not have been pretty, but that's what kind of just set the tone for the rest of the season.
I'm not going to lie. Going into, my podcast and everything, going into the NC State game, I thought they might start Tommy. I thought they maybe should have. But obviously Dungy proved us wrong in that game, slinging for 500 yards.
When I talked to Dino about that after the UNC game, and this is what he told me. He said, I have a quarterback who's blonde, and I have a quarterback who's brunette.
That's funny.
That was it.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, he's not. Yeah. I guess he's not even going to tell you anything, especially the media, though.
No, I mean, Dino, he's fantastic with everyone. And again, you build a few years ago, I was talking to my dad. I said, we're Syracuse. Why would anyone want to come here? How are we going to get good? And he said, you got to have the coach. And then all of a sudden it can change. And we got the coach. And, look what's happened.
It's all, and the community loves Dino. I love Dino. He's like on my list of top 10 favorite people.
When we extended him, the whole city was just so excited. I mean,
absolutely.
People are going to start to love him the way they love Jim.
Seriously, we haven't been around for all of Jim's greatness. I love Dino more than Jim, honestly. Jim gets grumpy. Dino's
they're two different people, and it's 2 different sports as well.
Absolutely.
And Jim's been here for 40 plus years, and Dino's been here for 4 plus years, so it's different. Right. I mean, they're 2 great coaches. You love having them, and it's great. It's great that it's a good thing if your basketball and your football coach are well loved.
Absolutely. That's huge. And I think that's the perfect way to leave it off. One guy we didn't talk about, I just want to mention him, Courtney Jackson, incoming freshman wide receiver. He could get some burn.
Yep. Good future. He's got a lot of upside.
Absolutely. All right, Tommy, thank you so much for being on the show, man. Exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah, it was fun.
Enjoy your trip to Italy, man.
Yep. One thing I'll say before I go, all fans out there, we need at least 40,000 people in the dome.
Yeah, baby.
All 6 home games. I don't care if Clemson comes in and kills us. There's 11 other games on the schedule, and we got to take care. We got to beat, a very good Pittsburgh team.
Very good. They give us
we got to
problems
make up
every
for last year. We got to beat a really good Boston College team, a Wake Forest team who, won a bowl game. A Western Michigan team who's tricky. We need you for all 6 games, and let's not talk about Clemson yet until we take care of Liberty and Maryland. Those are 2 big road games. They're gonna be tricky.
Oh yeah, me and you will be down there in Maryland.
Yep. Hugh Freeze, he's always got tricks up his sleeve. Maryland, they got players, and I encourage all our fans to come down to Maryland and we need as many fans there as we can get. Try and take that place over. We
could turn that into a kind of a home game like we did at Boston College last year.
We can.
The SU fans took over.
We have a lot of fans in Washington, D.C. We need all of them to come here, and we need people to migrate down to Maryland for the weekend.
Absolutely. Beautiful way to leave it off, Tommy. Thank you so much. We'll have to do this again sometime, man.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, let's go Orange, baby. Woo!
Yes, sir.
Thank you for listening to Orange Heat, done by pursuing sports broadcaster and high school student Giovanni Heater. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram @GeoHeater. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more Syracuse athletics and Orange Heat action. Let's go Orange!